Live. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Adventure on so many levels. We're going to play some Dungeons and Dragons. Yay! I am Christiana Ellis. I am the Dungeon Master. And our players tonight, we have Vivid Muse as Amethyst.
Hi, y'all.
Jenny Meltzer as Cadence of the Water.
Yeah.
Starla Hutchton as Nirakina Etu.
Greetings and salutations.
Mark Kilfoyle as Alaric Copperbeard.
Oh, I'm building stairs. Stairway to heaven.
And James Meltzer as Ket of the Sands. And so, you know what? Wait, what just happened? My stream is doing something like it switched over and then it started hosting again. Something else. Let me.
Still looks like it's hosting us. Like I see us.
Like on mine, it switched over for some reason, and I was also not seeing the D&D Beyond thing on there. So let me make sure that's working.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah. So if you see on the left side, oh, that's interesting that it's different than it was when I tested it yesterday. Everything's a little bigger, and so it doesn't show everybody all in one row. I don't know why that is. Everything changed and complicated.
Never a bride.
So, in any event, very cool new feature there for those of you watching on Twitch. You can actually see, everybody's hit points. You can see who's exhausted, and it shows various other conditions and so on. And if you click on it, it'll show people's ability scores and stuff. And it's all updated live with D&D Beyond. And again, when I tested it, it had everyone a little bit smaller so that you could see everyone in one column instead of it needing to cycle over. I don't know if that's going to be different for different people, but we'll see. Okay, technical stuff. So, let's talk about first a brief announcement, which is that the Extra Life D&D Marathon is back on the schedule. It is going to now take place on December 15th and 16th, but as before, I am going to be running 24 hours of Dungeons and Dragons in order to benefit children's hospitals as part of the Extra Life charity. And there's a link, if you're watching the video, there's a link that way or that way, one of those ways. You'll see it on the screen if you're watching. And it'll be lots of other places too, once everything posts. But if you want to help support children's hospitals and keep me encouraged as I plan this crazy thing, you can follow that link and check it out. And let's see, I think that's the only announcement that I'm going to get into right now. So let's recap what happened last time. So many things. That's it. Yeah. Last time, everything had kind of come to a head in the Shadowfell. You had been waiting there, preparing to release Melicanth from this gem, working with Zoreth and Jinxie, kinda. And then what was going to happen? You were attacked by Shatterkai, who worked for the Mistress of the Dark in the Shadowfell, this ancient god. You fought them. Somehow, Alaric's magic robot arm made the god of the Shadowfell disappear. And it's still not clear exactly how that happened. And then it was obvious that Jinxie and Zoreth had released Melicanth but imprisoned her and had every intention of torturing her in order to encourage her to relinquish the stolen moment, if necessary, but giving you the opportunity to try and persuade her first. It seemed actually pretty quick that there was not a lot of attempting to persuade, because much of the party really kind of took her side, and there was discussion of, are we doing the right thing? There's some disagreements. Everything basically started getting difficult. The tension factor ramped up when Alaric was magically compelled to act unusually in ways that were not 100% explained either. Things got complicated and complicated. Ket used a calm emotions spell on Zorath, which once it wore off, he basically decided, I don't trust any of you anymore. We meant to leave. And that was last time before the last episode. Last time, you guys all fought for possession of Melicanth, essentially. She was released from her bonds, but in order to keep her safe, Nira banished her back to the primary material plane and then hid so that she could maintain concentration. There was a tough fight that followed, including some awesome stuff with an illusory dragon and a wall of stone and a wall of ice and counter spells and dispelling magic. But one of the things that happened was that Alaric pursued Zorath through a fissure and discovered himself falling through an enormous void in the elemental plane of air. Although I don't know that he specifically knows that's where it is. He might be able to guess, but so falling all by himself, not realizing that Zorath had his own special way to avoid that problem. And everyone else, now successfully having banished Melicanth back to somewhere in the prime material plane, escaped on their own back through a portal to Gorne and managed to get through it and block off the access that would allow Zorath or Jinxie to follow them. But now they're just back in this hotel room in Gorne where things are still very much up in the air, or in the wind, so to speak, to use lots of, air puns here. So the last thing that happened was your animal companion, Robert the pig, had been killed by Zorath's chain lightning spell, but Archie used an extremely valuable revivify spell to resurrect Robert. And I did clear that with Archie, who is okay with letting that stand. So Robert is okay, revivified. But now you guys are in a little inn hotel room, simple wooden structure, and knocked over dresser, glowing purple fissure, guy in the bed is screaming.
I'm gonna cast Hold Person on him.
Okay.
I was just gonna knock him out, but that works too.
All right. He's gonna make a wisdom saving throw.
Gotta pull it up. Just 1 second. Wisdom, yes.
All right. He rolls a 6, so his scream is like, ah, ah! He is paralyzed under your magical control there in his bed, with, he's got the look of horror and the pointing finger.
Oh my God, it's Donald Sutherland. This is going great.
Okay, guys.
I'm going to walk over to the person and just say I'm really sorry and pull his covers up over him and make sure his situation and bits are all...
Well, so, he sat up in bed.
Okay.
So, did you...
So all his bits are covered?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
He's wearing...
Tuck him back in.
He's wearing one of those old-fashioned, nightgowns, cotton, that go down to his calves if you were up. And he's wearing the hat with the poof on it and everything. Classic.
I'm just trying to make sure I don't see anything I don't want to see.
Fair.
It's Ebenezer Screws.
Yeah.
Okay, so that guy's quiet. Now what?
We gotta get out of here. We gotta get away.
Is there a window?
There is a window.
I'm going to cast Pass Without a Trace on all of us.
Okay.
Does anybody know if there's a back door to this place?
Well, so the inn itself, the room you're in has one door and one window. It is on the second floor. The door goes to a hallway with several other doors, but there is only one stairway down to the first floor from that hallway.
Damn it.
The window.
Window.
Yeah. How many floors up are we?
Second
on the
floor.
second floor.
Second. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Can we hear anybody like shouting or coming for us? Like,
Make a
what can
perception
we
check.
Make a perception check. Okay. That's not too bad. So 15.
15. Yeah, you definitely hear activity outside. The guy did get a few seconds worth of screaming before he was paralyzed.
Outside the door or outside the window?
No, what you're hearing is like voices, concerned voices that sound like people downstairs, perhaps going, "What was that?" It's literally only been a few seconds. Like,
Okay.
Do y'all want to fly or do you want to run?
Well,
Flying is better.
Okay.
fly out the window.
I can summon us some mounts. Some flying mounts. You
You
good?
can do that.
I can either do that here or we can sneak away from the building and be a little sneakier about a parliament of owls, giant owls showing up to scare us away. That could bring some attention.
Oh my god.
I think if we go downstairs, we're gonna have a lot more trouble.
Right. We can either go out the window
Yeah.
with birds or without. That's what I'm saying. That's my
I think
suggestion.
that we should go out the window. We do have a lot of rope.
Okay. And then if we can just get to a place that's like somewhere hidden, I can summon them and we can get away, hopefully without anybody seeing us.
thump, thump,
Can you
thump,
not-
thump. You hear heavy footsteps coming up the stairs in a hurry.
We gotta go
Summon them
right now.
We'll
Right
jump,
now.
we'll jump out the window. We'll jump out the window onto the owls.
Okay, I'm conjuring. How many of us are there? One,
Open
two,
the window.
3, 4, 5.
No,
Six.
because Alaric's not with you.
Oh,
But
Archie is.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah,
five.
So it's five
Yeah.
plus
1, 2,
Robert,
3,
who is a
4,
full-size
5.
pig, and Arwen.
Oh,
I can carry him though because I did carry him when we were running.
Yes, I will say though that while carrying him, you move at half speed.
Okay.
Also, you guys recognize that Archie is looking pretty exhausted too. He is at 2 levels of exhaustion right now.
okay.
Can't do anything. Wait, does lesser restoration fix that? Hold on.
No,
I was just about to check
Greater.
that. No.
Blinded, deafened,
Oh.
paralyzed, or poisoned. Damn it!
Greater Restoration explicitly says that it will remove 1 level of exhaustion per casting.
Yeah, I don't have those spell slots left, so we gotta go. Let's go.
Okay. So I'm covering like that's 6. Is that 6 for Robert? I mean, can the owl carry her and the pig?
I'll say it can for
Okay.
these purposes, but it might be slower.
Yeah.
What we'll say is it can, but you're pushing it.
Yeah. Okay.
That owl's having to work harder than the other owls.
We're giving this
Robert
owl a heart
Taylor said
attack.
I mean, yeah. All right. Okay.
All right.
If you're cool with it.
Right now,
Candace-
you're hearing
Candace-
outside the door what sounds like 2 agitated voices saying, "Which room was it?"
Go, go, go! Let's do this! Come on!
So they're summoned and hop on, kids.
All right, so you just went to the window and you summoned them what? Like right outside the window?
Outside the window, yeah.
Okay, so
one at a time, right?
yeah, pretty much. And everybody is making an athletics, or no, not athletics, just acrobatics, I think, is the only one that makes any sense here, to try and
Oh, good.
land on the owl in such a way as you do not fall on your face to the ground.
14.
Acrobatics?
So,
Yes.
so Nira's first.
14.
14 is good enough. You managed, the owl's helping. And so you managed to land on an owl outside the window, and they're all conjured in such a line that they can kind of just sort of swoop by. It's a little
I'm
bit
messing around,
like
y'all. I'm
everybody is
organized.
in line boarding a roller coaster. You know, you're getting into each car.
Oh my god. I got
All right.
a 22.
22 is good enough. You're next on to the next owl. Who's next?
17.
17 is good. All right. How about Archie? He is making his check with disadvantage.
Archie bellies up to the window. How far is it to the ground?
Oh,
You know,
shit.
it's maybe 15 feet.
Okay. Will he have a chance to react?
Yeah, I mean, he'll have a reaction.
Because he's moving pretty slow as he kind of
Yeah.
bellies up to the window. I rolled a 5.
Okay, yeah, so he is
But the owl will
definitely...
catch him if she can.
Well,
She's
we'll
Well,
let the owl make a check, and if Archie has his own reaction, the owl can use its reaction, but those happen simultaneously.
He has a
So-
spell he can cast. It's not a reaction. It's a full action spell.
Okay, well, I don't. His action was to try to make the jump.
Oh, actually, it's a bonus action technically. But...
I'll allow that.
Okay.
Is it Featherfall?
Nope, it's Misty Step
Misty Step. Okay, he's gonna Misty Step onto
onto the owl.
the owl. Okay, so I think the owl starts to dive to try to catch him, and then all of a sudden he's on it, and it's a little bit of an awkward transition because it was trying to move and it surprised it didn't expect that. It's like but I think it's a very ungraceful, awkward landing. But he is on board the owl.
yay.
Was that everybody, or were we still? So Cadence needs to make the jump with Robert, which I'm going to say this is an acrobatics with disadvantage. Who's
Okay.
got Arwen? Okay.
So 15.
All right. 15 is just fine. I'm going to retroactively make you have to roll with a disadvantage too, Amethyst, carrying Arwen. So let's get one more roll.
That would be a 6.
Oh, whoops.
Belly
We'll
flop.
you can let your owl, as a reaction, make an acrobatics check of its own.
10. I don't think it has an acrobatics
No.
adjustment.
No, I think Amethyst, you and Arwen fall, and you thump to the ground right in front of the front door, and you each take 3 points of damage. I don't actually remember how many points Arwen has, but it's not a lot.
I will look that up.
But yes,
I don't know. Well, I don't know how much damage she took. I'll be honest.
No, she was at full from having been
Okay.
healed before, so it
Then
would be
She has 3 hit points.
okay. Well, she is unconscious from the fall.
Ah!
Also, as you land there and you're just kind of going, oh, you basically you find yourself looking up at a guard who is standing at the front door, and he's kind of just frowning at you like, what? All right, what's next?
I will swoop down with my owl and grab Amethyst.
The owl is at capacity carrying
Oh,
you. It cannot
okay.
carry another full-size person and an Almirage.
And I will swoop down with my owl and get him to knock down the guard.
Okay, make an athletics check against the guards' athletics.
My hero.
So this is the owl's athletics. So Amethyst, go ahead and make that strength check.
No, that went well, didn't it?
You're
You're muted.
5. The
Yeah.
guard rolled an 18. So I think that you guys didn't realize that because he had been having to stand there for so long, he had actually braced his spear sort of against the back of his armor, and so like he was just basically in a real stable like position already, and so the owl basically bonks into him. He is jostled, but now Ket, you and the owl have tumbled to the ground. No damage, but you are prone.
Can I cast Hold Person on the guard, please? Will be my
Did you
last.
release the concentration of the other one? So
What?
the
I
guy
thought
that
that
was
was
up in
done.
the room.
The guy in the
Oh,
bed.
yeah, I don't
Yeah.
care about him anymore.
Okay. Yeah.
Love him and leave him.
You let that go, and then from the room, So you're going on the guard again, then?
Yeah.
All right. He rolls a 17.
Damn it.
Who is this guard?
Archie will try the same thing.
Okay.
It was a great plan, guys.
He rolled a 19. This guy does not have a modifier. He's just rolling
Oh my
high.
god.
Yeah, this is just an ordinary guard. He is just having a very lucky, or depending on how you look at it, unlucky night.
Yeah.
How much space is in between the guard and Amethyst and Ket? Like how much physical space?
Ket
I've
and
flown
the
away.
owl are in a tumble pile right at the guard's feet. Amethyst is maybe 10 feet away in front of him.
Okay, I'm gonna cast Wind Wall in between Amethyst and the guard.
Okay.
It's like a foot thick, so he will have to rush through the wind wall to try to get to her. So that will give her and Ket time to straighten up and get out.
All right.
Fingers crossed.
Okay, so what I'm doing right now is I'm rolling an intelligence check for the guard to see how alarmed he is right now. And I'll let you know the lower level is pretty alarmed, given what has just happened. But the higher level would be he knows who you are. So we'll see how that goes for you.
He has to make a strength saving throw when the wall appears.
Okay.
Natural 20.
Oh, he got an 8 for that. So what happens to him?
He takes 3d4 bludgeoning damage.
Okay. Go ahead and roll that.
Oh wait, no, it's 3d8. Sorry, I read that wrong. So he takes 8 bludgeoning damage.
Okay, he is knocked back against the wall very hard, and you can see it rings his bells a little bit, but he is not out. And he rolled a 16 on his intelligence check.
Jesus.
And you see him knocked back, jostled, but then go pale, eyes wide, clearly aware of what's going on, and he starts immediately screaming, "Red alert!" and starts trying to run away. He's running like alongside the front of the inn away from you.
I would like to command one of my owls to just scoop him up and fly off with him really, really far.
All right, well, you have the one that was trying to catch you, so it's probably ready to go.
Why'd you get it to pick you up?
No, because it'll take him yelling away, and he'll follow him screaming.
All right, go ahead and have it make a grapple check. So that's another.
Come on, I
strength
gotta
check.
get better than 10 this time. It's bound to happen. 16?
He got an 11. So he is running, wounded from having been knocked against the wall. He's dropped his weapons, but then this owl swoops in out of the night, grabs him by the arms, and then lifts him up. Where's it taking him?
Towards the center of town away from us, like where there'd be a bunch of other people and confused by him yelling that we're over there.
All right.
More people you can tell.
So, as he lifts into the air by this owl, screaming bloody murder, you hear his voice carry over the entire town. It's them! They're at the inn!
I cast Disguise Self and make myself look like a commoner.
I'm gonna use my last conjure animals and summon 6 more owls.
It will, if you cast it again, it will end the first one. It's a concentration spell.
Oh shoot, I forgot about that.
Oh my god.
Yeah, let's go.
Go. Bye.
Where are you
Let
going?
me know when you
Leave
get there and I'll
Amethyst.
conjure more. for
Kat,
us.
you can probably stand up and your owl's kind of able to recover itself. Are you getting back aboard the same one?
Yes, disguised as a commoner.
All right, riding the giant owl with the others that are... The thing is, nobody knows who you are, Kat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, but I'm guilty by association at this point.
Yeah. All right.
So if I did not have Robert, would I be able to pick up Amethyst?
I think you would be able to move half speed with the owl carrying both of you.
We can't leave her behind, though.
I can cast polymorph on myself though, and I can sneak out maybe.
Could you cast polymorph and turn into a mouse, and then I could put you in my pocket?
Yes.
Let's
Is
do
that
that.
Is that
Alright.
a concentration spell?
Yeah,
Shit. Yes. No,
Oh
I
yeah,
can't.
never mind.
Yeah, so it would make the owls disappear.
I have. What's
let the
one-
pig go.
You're out of your wild shape because you turned into an elemental.
Yep, I know.
You can't wild shape again either, can you?
Not till I rest.
Oh.
This is
Bye, Robert.
immediately gone terribly, and I'm very
Terribly.
Yeah.
Here goes
So I could
our
summon more and just send a bunch out and like confuse everybody, but no, it didn't work.
No, then the
Most
ones that
expensive
we're
pig in
on
the
will
world.
disappear.
Yeah. That whole concentration thing, I don't have the brains for
So
it.
is everyone else kind of like landing while you guys figure this out, or
I'm
what's going on?
Hovering.
Mira's gone.
Why?
Mira already left.
I haven't gone anywhere. Come on, guys. So, you know what? While they're dicking around, I'm going to cast Mass Healing Word on everybody but myself and Robert, I guess.
Dicking around.
Okay.
That's a perfect way to put it. No, that's exactly what's happening.
Including Arwen?
Yeah, because Arwen's unconscious, so,
Yeah.
you know.
Robert's
Why
probably
Robert's
at
not
full
getting it.
health.
Yeah.
Yep.
Pig. God.
Well, he's
Drop
going
the
to get
pig.
left
I'm
behind.
back! Are you guys
Okay.
glad I'm back this week?
Yes.
The owls were a good idea, but yeah.
Yeah. It went to
I'm
hell.
going to put down the most expensive pig in the world and tell him to live a good life and be free, and I will pick up Amethyst and
And
move at half speed.
And I wrap my arms around her and my legs around her and I'm holding on tight and kissing her.
Alright.
I will swoop down and pick up the
as
pig and
you
move her.
let Robert down and he looks up at you, you have one last moment of eye contact and you think he understands.
I would cast Speak with Animals, but I don't think I have a spell slot for it.
And we still don't get bacon, you guys. What the hell?
The druid's okay with that.
All right, so
Okay, that's
you're-
seven hit points for you guys, so go ahead. Have fun.
7?
7.
Okay.
So you're all in the air again, with one of your owl members moving at half speed for carrying 2. You still
Can't
have
you
the
call
one
everyone
other
back?
owl carrying that other guy away.
Yeah. I'm going to have it drop him somewhere and come back and help us out.
Okay. Is it dropping him like from a height, or is it just...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, I want to shut him up at this point.
Okay. Yeah, so I think basically what you guys hear carry across the night air is it's
Wilhelm
not
scream.
prison! Ah! And then silence. But the silence replaced by many other voices and a bell that starts ringing. Cling, 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 cling. So,
No.
now what? Where are you going?
Get out of the city.
Lead us, Nira. We're following you. You're
Go
the only one who
west. Just go west. West. As fast as you can. Go west.
West.
Jesus.
You don't
So we're
even know
flying
what's
high
west.
and
It's
fast.
arbitrary. Just west. Sure, why not?
I will use my built-in brain compass to go west.
Hey, owl. I figure owls would probably know. So, you know.
So,
Can
I
I
am a
say-
ranger.
Can I say while we're flying, just for
Oh,
the
yeah.
just for the mental imagery of this, and I'm flying side by side with Cadence. Can I look at Cadence with my hair blowing in the wind, and cast Healing Word and just scream out,
yes, you can do that.
All right. 3, 4, 5. You get back 7 hit points, Cadence.
Oh, I'm over 20.
So, as you guys are flying, your owl is able to rendezvous with you, Amethyst, and so you can make another acrobatics check with advantage because you're being aided by 2 owls trying to make this happen, but to get you back on your own owl, because I assume that's what you wanted.
20. Not natural 20.
Okay, that's plenty.
Yay.
How high off the ground are you guys?
High, I hope.
Do you tell me?
I mean,
High enough to hopefully avoid archers.
archers and people further away seeing us. So, like,
How
up
high
high.
is that?
Bastards.
I don't
100
know.
100 feet?
150.
How
At
far
least.
can an arrow be shot? That's what I don't know.
Isn't it like 80 and then after that it's disadvantage?
I don't know.
That's a good question.
Some arrows, like
You don't
I
know.
think for archery,
About
like it's
150.
Yeah, that's what I'm
150.
thinking.
So
Can't you
we'll
do
be
that
100.
thing you were doing with the hiding?
You pass without a trace? I can do that if we don't have it anymore.
That doesn't
It
do
lasts
shit
an
for us
hour.
when we're flying.
The pass without trace, it should still be up.
Okay.
Yeah,
Um,
it lasts an hour, I think.
Yeah. I think here's where you guys are really lucky that it's dark, because you guys soar up into the sky and you're difficult to see from the ground. They do not have like magic searchlights. I think that as you guys are flying, there are actually a couple of archers that try to take pot shots at you that they see you. So they're going to be rolling at disadvantage, but there's going to be a couple. What is the armor class of those owls?
It is 12.
Okay. Yeah, you guys feel here and there an arrow or two whistle by, but none of them strike any of you. So you are flying. You're pretty high. You're pretty sure that you're going to be very difficult to see from the ground. But as you fly over the city, and you hear this the one bell joined by others, and you see basically what looks like a sleepy nighttime city with deserted streets suddenly is becoming very active, and you see like new torches and braziers being lit up, and there's clearly a military presence here that has been alerted to specific activity now.
I say we get as far away from this city as possible.
Beacons are lit. Let's get out of here.
fly, you fools.
All right. I have to say goodbye to Robert just as I drew his little
Aw.
picture.
Aw.
I know.
Sorry, guys.
Bye,
Have to
Robert.
make the sacrifices.
But see, we followed TV logic. He didn't die on screen, therefore he can always come back.
Well, that's right. And if
Perfect.
anything will cement, another legend for the Heroes of Legend, it is arriving back in town and dropping off a pig wearing armor.
Nobody's ever going to believe this story.
People will talk
They
for
always believe the
years,
stories.
having their various speculations about what was the deal with that pig.
And we're gonna come back here in like 20 years, and there's gonna be a statue of a pig in the
Right.
town square.
Probably
Yeah.
a lot
I'm
of
excited.
people theorizing that it was actually an adventurer got turned into a pig, perhaps.
Yeah.
No one would dare
Yeah.
eat him now. Not probably turn you into something if you tried.
Yeah.
Right.
Hold him hostage thinking we might come back for him, and they just end up liking him too much.
That's what happens. He has that kind of personality. He's a good
Yeah.
friend.
All right, where are we going? What are we doing?
I like to think that he basically just wanders around the town doing whatever he wants, and everyone's too afraid to mess with him to interfere with anything. So he basically just does whatever he wants.
He's the dread Piggy Roberts.
Oh, God.
That is my hope for him.
All
Actually
right.
better than rolling with us because he gets set on fire and burned and everything when he's with us.
So as you make your way, now here's the question: were you really going west, or was it just all of you are in a group in a fluster and you just pick an arbitrary direction?
I think we should head toward dinosaurs, and I think those were in a westerly sort of direction. I remember.
I think we
It's
should.
been a while since we had this part of the map, but
Yeah.
the forest where you had talked about going there was sort of north of Gorne.
Okay.
It was west of Villanocta, but you're southwest of Villanocta currently. But
Okay.
I mean,
Okay.
right now it's like
I don't know.
So my goal is to just get clear of everything far enough away so that we feel like we're in a place that's safe enough to land and rest for our necessary amount of time.
All right.
So does anybody have any ideas beyond that of what direction? Because I don't, other than like maybe a wooded area that the owls could drop us into or something. I don't know.
I don't even know where we are.
Yeah, I don't either.
Don't know.
We're in Gorne.
I don't know what that means.
So,
Yeah.
I think one thing you guys will all feel though as you're here is the lifting of this oppressive weight that you just felt all the time in the Shadowfell. It's just it's like when those of you who went on the supply run did so. It feels a little bit like you had been used to carrying a heavy backpack, but now you've taken it off. And it's just like, oh, that's better. But Nira, I think that you didn't sort of notice this right away, but I think that as you're having a moment to collect yourself on the back of this giant owl, you're feeling a little bit off, and in a way that I don't think you can quite identify yet.
Okay.
Something's wrong. You don't know what.
A lot of things are wrong.
Well,
yeah.
you're getting the feeling that something's wrong that you don't know what it is yet. So you are aware of several things that you're specifically conscious of being wrong, but there's also something else you're missing. It feels wrong.
Can I do a perception check? I don't know.
I mean,
In the direction of my mountain, if I need to be more specific.
Perception is not the right roll.
Okay.
I think like maybe insight.
Okay. I can do that. That's a +8. Definitely do that. But not when I roll a 5. So it was a 13.
Yeah.
8 and 5. Yeah.
It's hard to say. You don't know.
Yeah.
Something though.
I'm just really tired.
Yeah. So you guys are aloft. The owls are only going to last an hour. So you're limited in your range by that. But how, it's only a few minutes before you have left the walls of the city and, in fact, flown over the encampment where the occupying Tashmian army had its camp. At a guess, I think those of you who came through here before will note that although there is still a presence there, it seems like it's maybe less than there was before. But then as you pass over that encampment, you are now out over open land, and it the forests and fields of your familiar regions lay out before bleh, on the ground, but in the moonlight it's a tableau spread out.
So can we fly like deep into the over the forest and find a clearing to land in and settle in for the night? After flying for I don't know, 45 minutes, far enough away from everything and civilization.
So, you guys are able to fly and have just choose a campsite of whatever specifications you're looking for, pretty much. So you guys tell me, what sort of place do you set down in?
Cadence, you're the ranger.
I would like to collaborate with Amethyst because she's also really familiar with woods and forests and things like that, to find a place that we would be shrouded in, where she can set up her. She said she was thinking about setting up.
Yeah, that spell slot's gone.
Oh, okay.
We'll just have to hunker down primitive style.
Yeah, maybe somewhere that is really dense thicket and trees, so we can, cover ourselves in it.
All right. So you look around for a little bit. You're able to take your time to some extent, because although, here and there you spot encampments that are hard to know what type they might be from, the elevation that you remain at, but you find a nice out of the way spot that looks like it'll have, fresh water and cover, and it's, a little a ways from any obvious major roads, and figure that it would probably be hard for anyone to guess where you would be if they are just looking in any conventional way. And so you settle down.
I'd like to use my Staff of Lenamara and summon her.
Okay. You
And
yes, you go and take your staff, plant it in a spot of open soil, and immediately it takes root and begins to grow, thickening, lengthening, tall branches spreading out until a 60-foot tall tree stands in the place where Amethyst's staff once was. And I would imagine that's pretty amazing for those of you who have not seen that before.
Mhm.
And then emerging from the trunk near Amethyst is a slender female form emerging with skin the color of sort of a mossy green bark. And emerges and just says, "Hello."
Hello, Lenamara. How are you?
Well, I feel better here than in that other place.
I'm glad. Can you tell me, and I want to use the commune with nature aspect of the staff and just ask if we're safe where we are, if there's any humanoids nearby or any creatures or anything that we should be worried about. Would we be safe to rest here for a little while?
One question real quick, just a technical point. Mother Dragon in the chat says my gain just dropped by half. I mean, but I didn't change anything. Does it sound okay to you guys, or?
You sound the same to me.
Okay, well, I guess let me know if it continues to be a problem, everyone in the chat. But in the meantime, yeah, she said everyone else hasn't changed. I don't know why that would be. I didn't change anything. Is it still like that? Because a little softer than before. Why, though? Testing. Yeah, I'm seeing it look quieter on my... Hello! Testing! I'm just gonna turn my mixer volume up. I don't know why it changed. Better? Okay, alright. So, I don't know what happened there. I didn't touch anything. Anyway, you asked her about any dangerous humanoids nearby, and
we're safe.
She gets kind of a dreamy expression on her face for a little while, and then just says, "No. Those of you here are you're the only humanoids for several miles." And then she wanders over to you, Ket and Cadence, and just says, "Hello, I'm Lenamara. Are you Amethyst's friends?"
I would like to think so.
Yes, they are.
She has good taste in friends. It's nice to meet you. She doesn't extend a hand or anything. She just sort of nods at you.
It's nice to meet you as well.
Yes, thanks. I know.
So, Christiana, if I could ask, out of character, I can't remember. I know it's not like Druid's Grove or anything like that, but how long am I able to keep her summoned specifically, since it's not a part of the stay?
Essentially, your staff will remain a tree until you command it to not be anymore.
Okay. So then I tell them that, Lenamara says that, we're the only humanoids here, but that we should still probably... you guys agree we should still have guards and stuff, right? We should sleep in shifts and make sure.
Of course.
Okay.
I think by this point, Otterkey has already gone over to the side of the tree, sat down, and is starting to fall asleep.
Yeah, he looks pretty rough, you guys. He looks exhausted, and he actually goes just hunkers down and starts to go to sleep.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, what are the rest of you doing?
I'll take first watch.
I want to ask Lena Mara another question.
Sure.
But yeah, then I'll take my shift to watch, I guess, after Mira.
All right. What's your other question?
So there's this tree that's appeared for a couple of us, for Ket and Cadence, and for myself, and I call it a tree because that's what it looks like, but it phases and it behaves unlike a tree, and it actually transported myself to a whole nother place, and I believe that's what happened to Ket and Cadence as well. Something similar?
Brief meta comment here. Have you guys seen that meme with Pikachu where he just has that expression on his face
Yeah.
God.
Yeah, that's what she's doing right now. She's like, that sounds amazing.
But you're not familiar with anything like that?
No, I don't think I've ever seen anything like that before. I would like
am I standing there while she's talking to her?
Yeah, sure.
That's my hope, yeah. That was my hope.
You never heard of the emerald tree?
No.
Emerald arborist?
But I don't know all trees. I just know trees in the forests where I've been, where I've lived before. But I'm when I'm in the staff, I don't really notice everything that's going on around. I'm kind of dreaming.
Interesting.
But there are lots of nice trees here. And if you want to introduce me into that other tree, if you see it again, I would love to meet it.
Maybe we will someday.
Oh, I'm talking to a staff
like
that's
that.
a tree. What is going on?
Technically, I was a tree
Cat,
spirit
show some
before
respect.
I was a staff.
Oh,
Come on,
I'm
Cat.
sorry. I'm
This
just
is-
tired.
I was saved by a river spirit because it was made more powerful by something, and it saved me because my tree was going to be flooded, and then it gave me as a present to Amethyst because we're friends.
Very good friends. Lena
Nice.
Mara, would you like it if I took you out more often? Would you be able to learn about the trees in the different areas we're in if you're available to?
Well, I don't mind being a staff, but I like to meet new trees and new friends.
I'll remember that.
Okay.
I will, during my watch, when I take watch, I will actually sit with her and talk to her about the emerald tree and the things I know about it.
Okay.
Yay.
She is rapt. Like, she is fascinated. She thinks that's really cool. But you also, the vibe you get from it is, you might as well be telling it like a 6-year-old. Like, she has sort of an intuition and instinct about natural stuff, but she doesn't seem like she has a deep reservoir of knowledge.
Yeah.
I spend a lot of time with Ket, so I'm kind of used to that.
Burn.
Ouch. So, while I am on my watch,
Before that happens, I think you're just sort of all getting settled, those of you who are going to sleep. But Archie, who had gone down to try to sleep first, after only about maybe half an hour of trying to sleep, he shoots upright with a sort of a gasp, ah! And he's looking around at you, just
Archie, what's wrong? You okay?
Oh, I don't know, just a nightmare. Yeah,
No.
I don't know. I mean, it was a bad dream, I guess.
What kind of bad dream?
I don't know. I mean, it didn't really make any sense, but Jinxie was following us, and then she did something to me to make me fight you guys.
We will have to keep an eye out for her. She's a tricky one.
Yes, go back to sleep.
I'm gonna give him
Yeah,
a good
I
berry.
need it.
I'm gonna give him a good berry since I don't have any heals available yet, and just see if that gives him any kind of comfort.
Okay. Well, he eats it and he regains the 1 hit point as it does, and he's thank you. I maybe this will help. I'll just try to get some rest. But I think with you awake during your watch, Nira, he doesn't quite come awake like that again. But I think you can tell if you're looking that he's sleeping very fitfully.
Okay. I mean, I have plenty of confidence that Litamoro's gonna kind of keep the watch, so I don't feel too bad about doing my ritual thing with Rushama, and I'll do it silently. Won't necessarily need to say anything, obviously, but
I mean,
yeah, and it'll just be like passing on like what happened over the last day, because that was a lot, so I'm not going to I'm not gonna go over all of that again. And kind of trying to focus on the unsettled feeling that I had coming in. Yeah.
are you speaking any kind of a prayer or?
Well, I haven't really like established one.
Well, I don't. It doesn't have to be
it's
ritually. I mean, are you saying anything to Rushama, or is it kind of just emotional?
it's more emotional and looking for some guidance, like what's the, not necessarily dictating what my next step would be, but looking for, because I need more information and I'm not really sure where to go for that next, because Zorath, we've pretty much exhausted that. Melicanth, pretty much I'm done with her. Like there has to be, I need door number 3, and I don't know where I should go to next to get the information that I need to make a decision. That makes sense.
You don't get a vocal, like verbal response. Instead, you're seeing more imagery again. You see like a very powerful, like wide and powerfully flowing river, and you see kind of in an enormous scale, you see where it branches out into different tributaries. It curves around the landscape, and then other rivers feed into it, and there's just this huge network. But you also, somehow it's also like a tree, the tree branches and the roots, and you're kind of getting a lot of imagery of natural structures that are kind of reflected in many forms. Branching paths, so to speak, and you even occasionally you'll see animal trails through a forest, but you are getting a sense as you feel a little bit, and again this is just instinctively, the presence that is giving you these visions is wounded. And as the vision progresses, you start seeing some sort of a like black discoloration spreading through the rivers and the grasses on the banks starting to die. You see some sort of a weird black mold growing on one of the big trees, and the leaves start to wither. And you get really just one word that you can really understand and interpret. And it is temple. But as you sort of receive that word, you feel like you actually are learning a spell. And it's a spell you didn't know before. And it's a very powerful spell. You don't think you've ever cast one this powerful before. And it is a spell that you can look up. If I can have it here in a second. I have to make sure I'm giving it to you correctly. The spell that you are learning is called Temple of the Gods. And even though normally you feel like you would not be powerful enough to cast that spell, you feel like that's what you need to do. And you won't be able to get clearer answers until you do that.
Okay. All right.
When I'm on my watch, can I tie Archie's hands together very sneakily?
Yeah, okay.
So for clarification, is this a spell that I can now do?
You essentially you have gotten the feeling that you need to cast that spell. Now, the circumstances that you choose and where you would decide to do that and how is up to you. But what you've been essentially taught is a spell, and you have been given the sense that what you need to do is cast it.
Okay.
And there's a bit of a sense of like, normally it would be too powerful, but maybe this is special.
Okay.
While you're tying Archie's hands, Ket, he doesn't look good. He does not look like he's getting rest. He looks feverish. He's sweating. He is kind of tossing and turning.
Can I see him doing this? Since
Are
like
you
he
awake?
he probably did watch after me, I'm assuming. Like if we were going in that order, so I probably would be awake.
Oh, well, you tell me.
Do I make a perception or is it my
I
passive perception?
I'll stop. I'll say that when I see Archie not in good shape, I will refrain from tying his hands up.
Okay.
I will get near his attention.
All right.
And I will just be like, "Hey, Nira, you're the cleric. Come look at Archie. He doesn't look so good over here."
Is this before or after our long rest, or still during?
During.
Yeah, I agree. He doesn't look good, but unfortunately, I can't do anything for him yet. I need to prepare some things before I can make any attempts. But I agree that he needs help.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. So I think for a moment we're going to cut away from you guys as you settle in and embark on your long rest, having found a place of temporary safety at least. And let's check in on Alaric. I think fresh off the heat of battle, still sort of in panic mode, having landed on this 30-foot or so chunk of rock, sort of floating and drifting in this strange labyrinth of wind patterns in an endless sky. You thought about carving a stairway with rock tools, but that was also like with the adrenaline pumping. Now that the immediacy of the battle has faded, what are you doing?
If I look up, do I see the portal or the figures that were recited, or am I way far away for that?
Make a perception check.
Oh, let's see. Oh, 25.
Ooh, yeah. What you can see it, and you notice that as you watch over, a period of time, going up and looking for it periodically, you realize that both that chunk of rock and the one you are on um, are apparently still moving somewhat in these winds, and so there seems to be some kind of a complex pattern. But sometimes you're closer and sometimes you're farther away. But at its closest, it's still a good like maybe 450 feet away.
All right. What I'm probably going to do then is to make myself scarce. I'm going to go and walk around to the underside of the rock and start to explore what might be down there. There might be some flora or fauna, but I'm also curious about these rocks.
Yeah. So you definitely sense as you move around. Oh, and let me clarify too, with that chunk of stone being so far away, I think you without such a high score, you might have had trouble distinguishing. You were able to pick out the right one because it did still have a flicker of the purple that you've associated with the fissures
Right. Right.
with it, and that's how you knew that's the one.
Okay.
At walking around your little chunk of stone here, you recognize that there is still a universal gravity in this place. And it is down, so it is not to the center of this rock. It is objectively down, so there is a top and a bottom. But you have your boots of spider climb. Do those last forever, or is it like an hour or something?
I think they just worked. I don't think that there's
I think you might be right. I was just checking. But you are walking
why
around.
you wear the shoes.
With those shoes, you are able to walk on all surfaces of it evenly. And, I evoked this last time, but yes, it's very Little Prince. You're just walking, or Super Mario Galaxy if anyone prefers. But what you find...
I'm not a plumber, damn it.
This is what it is irregularly shaped, approximately spherical, but it is very sort of like rough and natural looking. It has a few places with your keen eye for stone. You can tell that it looks like it probably once shattered off of a larger piece. But there's no other like structure to it.
So if I'm standing underneath it and looking downward, do I see anything? Like any sort of point of the end?
Looking down, you don't see anything that you could call ground. You do see here and there that there are other specks of something, which may be rocks like the one you're on. They may be something else, but it's also difficult to get a sense of scale.
All right. Well, with not much else to occupy me, I'm going to start running some tests.
Right.
I'm curious about a lot of things about this rock and this place. Like, if I take a few stones from the bottom and throw them away, do they float upward or downward? Does the gravity pull them, or does the air float them up? That sort of thing.
Incidentally, I'll let you do all that while taking a short rest so that you're not at one hit point, if you like.
I don't know if I have any hit dice left.
Oh, really? Okay. Well.
I will check.
But yeah, so I think as you do some experiments, you do find that if you chip off a little bit of a chunk of rock and toss it away, it does get caught up in these winds that are striking, or blowing around, the ones that you sort of coasted on, and you see that although there is a gravity acting on it, by far the dominant force is these winds. And so you'll see it drift away and then get caught up in a gust, and then you'll watch it like doing kind of a complex pathway around various, currents of wind.
Yeah, little experiments like that. Is the rock a crumbly rock, or is it solid stone, or what sort of things is it?
I think that if you talk, so the rock that you're on is mostly one big piece that broke off an even bigger piece, but connect like around to it, just like you can have different layers of different kinds of rocks that are still kind of all there. There are parts of it that are other types of rocks that could crumble away, but mostly it's one big piece of, we'll say granite because that's a rock everybody knows.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I will be experimenting with these rocks and seeing, a little bit of them put in my pocket didn't seem to do much. I'm kind of curious, and this is the weird sort of science you get into in fantasy worlds. If I fill my pockets with more rock, do they float more?
You get the sense that the rock itself isn't what is floating.
Okay.
Like there's some other property of this plane that is just, I think increasingly as you're doing your experiments, you're realizing that you can't think of this plane as just being in the sky of a regular plane, a regular place. This is what the place is. And so although there does seem to be an up and down, it doesn't work quite the same as in what you're used to. And so it might still be hard to predict outcomes of complex situations, but you're getting closer to being able to make better predictions about that.
Okay. Immediate order business then, maybe on the side of the hill, the side of the rock. I'll see if I can carve out a bit of an alcove, so I might have a place where I can sleep.
Okay.
Kind of reverting back to being stuck in a hole for 4 years.
Yeah.
You start to think of how can I hide from whatever might come after me.
Get someplace where you could maybe not only have cover, but also somewhere that would be like dark. Because on that note, you don't really see like a sun, but there is also light. It is lit kind of like on a sort of hazy, overcast day. That's kind of what it feels like, but there's also not there's not a place where the clouds are. You know what I mean? It's just the whole sky is just kind of that diffuse daylight.
Yeah, with that and I can take the cloak and use it with weighing down with some stones to kind of cover off the front of the cave.
So you can you find that that's most effective on the top side of the rock in terms of like wanting to set a rock down on top of it to weigh it down, and so it doesn't flap in the breeze because it's very windy otherwise.
Well, I'm hoping to build a cave on the side of the rock.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I
So
think
I'm not exposed from above or below.
sure. I think it takes some time. You're doing this instead of like resting, or you're doing this so that you'll have a safe place to rest?
That's the idea. I'm going to need a rest soon enough.
All right.
I
Well,
do actually have some hit dice left. I realize I hadn't actually
Okay.
spent them.
Yeah. So I think up to you if you want to. I'll say that you could have gotten a short rest while you were doing those sort of experiments.
Okay. I will get some hit points back.
Yeah. And then I think while you work on carving after the short rest, your skill with stoneworking tools and knowledge of the stone definitely give you an advantage here. So I'll let you make, let's see, do an intelligence plus proficiency roll. Because the focus here is less on like dexterously using the tools and more on like knowing which part of the rock will be the best location here.
Kind of going back to my masonry days, just
Yeah.
not exactly the normal ones. Probably muttering under his breath one of the worker songs that he would have had to kind of get the pace of the hammer going properly, and then realizing that he doesn't want to make too much noise, so muttering it to himself. That is a 24 total.
Nice. Yeah, I'd say you occupy yourself with carving this little cave for yourself, and I would imagine. I mean, you tell me, but is this sort of a occupational therapy to stave off any perhaps incipient concern about your situation, or
It's kind of going into
emotional
survival.
state here? Yeah.
It's kind of going into survival mode,
Okay.
doing something he's familiar with, He's only been out of the mine for, well, less than a year now. This was his life, hiding from that thing, building spaces where he could hide himself and bolt and get a good night's rest. Yeah, a little bit of that, and every once in a while muttering to the arm, "So you can help me with this," and then just going back to it.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, I do want to take a look upward and kind of try to gauge if I can start to figure out if there's a pattern to way these things get closer or farther away, or if that portal ever disappears, or if anything comes at me from it.
All right.
And have a nervous look at that.
I think what after watching for a while, you can determine that there is a pattern, but to some extent you can't easily track all the complexities of it because it's invisible except for just the movement of the two rocks relative to each other. But what you do find is that the tide of it, so to speak, is it takes about half an hour to go from being the closest together to being the farthest away and then back to the closest. It takes about half an hour.
Okay. All right.
And then with your carving, I think you're able to, carve out a pretty nice little hidey hole for yourself. And I would imagine you are constantly struggling and sort of flipping in your mind between. It's a little bit like one of those optical illusions where you can see it as one thing or as the other, but somehow like it's always one or the other, and you can't see both things at once. And simultaneously, what you can have here is this is rock. You're making a little cave like for yourself. This is not that unfamiliar. You can do this. This is things that you know how to do, is to make a little spot, a little alcove in this rock, and it'll be protection and all of that. But then on the other hand, everything other than the rock that you're actually touching is literally the opposite of a cave.
Yeah. Yeah, probably working mostly with his back to the rest of all of that, trying to ignore it, not having much luck, especially when his beard whips up from the wind itself.
You do get a little, so when you speak to the arm, as with the last time when you mentioned it, it sort of gave you a little bit of a, like, it's tired. It wants to help, but it's tired. And as you're working with it, that has not changed, but you get the sense that it enjoys working with you to do this, and you're finding that use of the hand is feeling very natural at this point.
Yeah, you and me to both, bub. See if we can get some rest.
All right. So after a few hours, you're able to carve off a nice little spot where you feel like you can have cover. And from there, do you try to turn in for a long rest?
Yep. I'm going to set up at the front of it where I have kind of the cape there. I want to set some rocks that are more or less precarious. I'm setting one of my traps.
Okay.
They're almost always useless, but at least they make noise.
All right. Okay. So, as Alaric, drifts off into dreamland, I'm suddenly just envisioning how sometimes in cartoons, dreamland is depicted as like up in the clouds. Yeah, let's check back in on the rest of the gang here. I think as you're, as you've. Did anyone else have any business that they wanted to get up to during their watch, or do we want to go ahead and clock wipe to the morning?
Clock wipe, I think.
Yeah, clock wipe.
All right.
I reset my spells, so I moved some stuff around.
Okay, so we'll say that you have all completed a long rest, except Archie has not only not regained any hit points, but he is now at 3 levels of exhaustion.
Well, first thing I'm going to do is boop him with greater restoration.
Okay, he let me think. What Yeah, so that removes 1 level of exhaustion. So he's still at 2. And I think you get a little bit of a sense with that spell that there is a depth to what's happening that 1 casting was not enough to correct.
Well, I'm gonna do it again. I have to. So I have just burned all 5th level spell slots in one go.
All right. So with a second casting, he is only now at 1 level of exhaustion. It looks considerably better for all that, but I think you sense, Nira, that you're treating the symptoms at this point. And it's not that this spell was incapable, it's just that it had advanced to the point where it's going to take more than 1 dose, so to speak.
Yeah.
So Amethyst is going to step up and she's going to cast Greater Restoration on him too.
All right. He is no longer exhausted, but you sense in the same way that Nira did that the thing that's causing it, you've now gotten him back to healthy, but the thing that was causing it is still there.
Right.
And he is he's looking at you guys and saying, "Thank you. I mean, I know that. First of all, also let me just point out, Greater Restoration costs you guys. It's 100 gold worth of gems and stuff. So it's not free.
Right.
But he's looking at you guys and saying, "Sorry, I don't know what it was, but my dreams were all about. I mean, they covered a lot of things, but Jinxie was always in them."
Did she hurt you in any way? I know you guys fought. Did she get any? She has some weird abilities. Did she get any hits in?
He says no. She just ran away. I think last time we had him, he fired his arrows at her from a distance, and then she ran away. I don't think she ever. But then he kind of scrunches his face a little bit, and he says, "Wait." And he feels like just the little scratch on his nose that's actually not completely healed. And he's like, I mean, that's the only time she touched me.
What about your armor? Do you think that she did something to it when she was walking around wearing it?
He kind of looks down and horrified.
It could be maybe some kind of poison. It might be a magical effect, but...
It could be a curse.
Could you dispel the magic, maybe?
I can get rid of curses.
Can we get rid of curses? Do you remember that guy, Cadence?
Yeah.
Nope, I'm thinking as him, though.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, I think he has that.
He has
spell.
removed curse.
Yeah, I think as the idea of it being a curse is suggested, he kind of says, "Oh, yeah," and so he can try casting that on himself if you would like him to do that.
Yep. So he will cast remove curse, grab himself by the arm, I guess, or actually by the nose, probably, and then try to remove curse.
Yeah, he feels the magic seize on some a corruption that was sort of working its way through him and sort of tears it out, and there's just sort of a magical sensation of just pulling this sort of wriggling thread of yuck out, and then it just dissolves in the air. And he's just looking at all. He's just, I mean, I'd have to try resting again, I guess, but I think that did it. It did something.
Well, here's the thing. I think you can have a little bit of time. How big is this clearing?
How you guys tell me. You picked it.
I need a little bit of space. We need more information, and I might have a way to get some.
Okay.
Okay, how much space do you need?
Well, according to this, it can be... Let's see. It can be up to 120 feet on each side, but it has to fit within an unoccupied cube of space. It doesn't...
Yeah, so basically, it can only be as big as the open space that is available.
Mm-hmm.
And it can be up to 120 feet you.
Oh, I see.
But
I
but
think Lenamara's tree is probably going to be in the way.
it could be
I can-
smaller also.
Right.
It depends on where you
I
want
can
it to be.
dismiss her. I can dismiss her, like, easy. For pals like that, she don't mind.
Yeah, she's basically sort of dreamily been walking around, just sort of. She is talking to the other trees like someone making small talk at like a dinner party.
He's so cute.
All right. So, guys, I need you to get back kind of just inside the tree line. I need some space.
Do you?
So do you want me to dismiss her or no?
Yeah, because
Yeah, okay.
it's a big tree.
So I'm gonna thank Lena Mara and bid her well and tell her that I'll be seeing her soon.
You said that when we rested because he had the exhaustion and the curse, Archie did not get back any hit points.
Correct.
As
You think he
we're
is back to normal now, except he might be taking a short rest during this?
Yeah.
I was going to
He's got
cast
some time.
Cure Wounds on him at
Oh,
level
okay.
3.
Sure.
So, yeah, I will do that as we're walking away. And then
Okay. So I'm going to kind of stand back at the edge and focus on this spell that from the vision the previous evening. Try to recall everything that I could and think about a temple and you know, kind of draw the mountain and everything kind of on the ground, sort of in the center. And pray, I guess.
Yeah. So, what does this temple look like?
So it can't be very big, but what I'm picturing is just sort of a miniature mountain. It only has to be one room, just with a single door, with some stained glass windows on the side, with different depictions of back home.
Okay. So it takes an hour to cast. So what all of the rest of you are watching is Nira kind of goes and she just kind of stands in the center of this clearing. Or would you prefer, is she like sitting in a lotus pose? Like I'm thinking like she is casting. What position is she in?
I think something like a lotus pose would help her build her focus.
Right.
Also, I'd like to specify that this will oppose specifically fiends because
Okay.
it says that's a thing.
Yeah,
so.
you choose one
Yeah.
or more of the following.
Oh, one or more? Okay, well then all of them.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, I guess it's weird that it says choose one or more. Why wouldn't it just say it does all of these? I guess so
Yeah.
you could choose to have them not. You could pick
Well,
one to have
yeah,
them
and I
not do
suppose if
wanted.
you've got somebody that's like a fiend but sort of an ally or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So are the rest of you all like standing way back, or what are you doing during this hour?
I will just sort of watch what she's doing.
I think those of you watching who are magically inclined definitely get the sense that she is channeling a very powerful magic here. And as she is channeling this, at first, nothing really seems to happen. But very gradually, you start getting a sense of power. Like just there's almost sort of an electrical ambiance to the space. You can feel something's happening. You start catching the like an ephemeral sense of scent of incense on the air, and then it's gone. And you start, your eyes water a little bit as you're looking around this clearing. But over the course of this hour, slowly, you start seeing a shape that, like, it feels like you see something and then it's gone. Is it there? But wait, and then when you look around, there's something in the other corner now. And very slowly, you start seeing a ghostly building, this mountain-shaped temple is being willed into existence, conjured into existence by Nira's spell. As it gains more solidity and form, the sense of being in a holy place is unmistakable now. And soon, as the hour finishes, this building, this temple, is there, filling the clearing. And Nira, you stand in the center of the interior, and you look down and you realize you're actually now wearing the formal, like, high priest, high cleric vestments.
Oh, this is great. Ugh. This is my armor. Ugh.
So the interior is one big space that would have like an idol or an altar at one end, or what's the inside?
Yeah, it would have. I'm trying to think. Was not prepared for this. Okay. Yeah, just some sort of flat offering surface. Not fancy. Just very like a rough-hewn stone, but flat on the top. Almost like it was somebody cleanly sheared off a boulder, almost. But yeah, not much inside. Not much for decoration because it seems unnecessary. So.
And you realize you're holding the flower.
Well, that's interesting. Okay. Man, I have to go talk to my friends looking like this. It's so embarrassing. Okay. All right, I'm going to go to the door and take a deep breath. They're going to laugh at you. It's okay. And I'll open the door. All right. Everyone in. It's safe.
So what do these high priest, high cleric robes look like?
They're kind of tacky. They're very very old style. So lots of like puffy sleeves and and some sort of probably embroidery. I'm trying to think. Let's see. We did the purple flowers for that, so we'll go with purple. Mm-hmm. And like the collar will have like the mountain range kind of embroidered on it. And it's just like, I hate this so much. Guys, I don't want to hear it. Just, please come in.
Amethyst runs over and is like, "Oh, it's a mountain and it's sparkly. Ooh, I just love it. It's gorgeous. I think you've never looked more beautiful than right now in this mountain dress."
Does Amethyst say all that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Never, ever more beautiful.
Wow. I'm just like,
very
purple
much
is my
blushing.
favorite color. That's all.
Cat's just gonna like walk on by and be like, mm-hmm.
And Archie. Okay. Oh, and Arwen too. Oh, shoot, I forgot about Arwen. She's still paralyzed, and I burned all my greater restorations.
No, Arwen's fine. Like she's
fine now
at this point. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right, everybody in.
The paralysis wore off after a minute, so she was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so this is a temple for Rushama, and you guys are probably the first outsiders in, I can't even imagine how long.
You instinctively just know that it's been like 3,500 years since a non-high elf has been in the Temple of Rushama, a formal one like this.
So, congratulations, it's been 3,500 years since anybody, not of my people, has seen this.
And let me clarify too, Nira, you didn't know that you knew that.
Yeah. That's weird. Okay. This is all so weird. All right. But yeah, this was I do these meditations, and this was a communication from Rushama. I'm I'm not entirely sure what this is about, but we need information, and this was the answer to that request. So,
are we here to like see somebody?
oh, that's the question. But I have this. Been looking for this. So this seems like solid. This flower.
Yeah. Well,
Like-
so it's the flower that you got.
The flower.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So and you know what you were like the idea of what you do with it. Like if you had retrieved it as part of your pilgrimage and brought it back to the temple, you know the ritual that you would do with it.
All right. Well, this is the only real next clue that I have. So, I'm going to go and prepare the flower.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us about this ritual.
Oh God. I didn't think about
So
that.
that's okay. Like I don't want to put you too much on the spot. I think the rest of you watch as as Nira goes up to this sort of offering space. Somehow there's just there now kind of a mortar and pestle that she grinds the slightly dried flour into a powder. I just had a funny thought of snorting it, but no.
I've seen weirder.
Yeah. So as she grinds it up, you know that what you're to do is this altar to the untrained eye is perfectly smooth, like to glossy polish, like marble. But the way that this particular ritual is done is you have the whatever this powdered offering is spread across this, attempting to have it kind of as evenly distributed as it can be, and that it will form shapes as part of the magic of the ritual.
Okay.
And are the rest of you kind of standing back, or are you like coming up and standing around this altar, or?
I would like to come up and stand and watch what she's doing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of curious too, so I'll kind of stand around and watch what she's doing. Yeah.
I'm holding Arwen and standing a little bit behind everybody.
Okay.
Because I don't know about this religion stuff.
All right. And Nira, you find that, like, if there's even a bit of a thought that crosses your mind that, like, is it okay for these outsiders to see it? What you're realizing as you do this ritual, and you feel like you have the muscle memory for it, even though you've only ever seen others do it. And what you feel like is what's right is what you want to be right about this.
Okay. Yeah, this is all incredibly strange, and I don't. So I've been thinking about this a lot. My people are not, and it occurred to me when I was talking with Zorath, of all things. I tell you guys a lot about not having a choice in this life that I'm leading. I talk about that a lot. And I realized that my people as a whole don't make a lot of choices. There is a way that things are done, and that's how they do it. when I was chosen for this role, it's because I made a choice that was unlike anybody else. They all just did what they were told. They didn't think. They just went. There was no choice. So I've been wondering lately if it was maybe that I made a choice at all that caused me to be picked for this role. Because none of my people would have had the choice or would be able to make a choice because they don't know how. So I've been thinking about that a lot, and I don't know. I wish that didn't feel true because it's very uncomfortable. Continue spreading and seeing what happens.
Now, Nira, as you are spreading the sand around, you have kind of your hand moving in sort of a repetitive pattern, smoothing it out, and then seeing the sand subtly vibrate into shapes that you then smooth out again, and then you're just doing this repetitively. It'll start to shape, and then you smooth it, and it's forming almost it's almost like you're reading it, and you realize that you are able to understand this to the point where you begin to just have visions in your head about this, and this is not visual, this is not verbal, it's not tactile, it is knowledge in a pure form. And you feel for the first time, as though you really know the mind of Rushama, at least in a way that you have never known before. This is not talking to Rushama, this is joining with, in a way, if only temporarily. And what you come to understand is Rushama has not been as strong as he once was for a long time. He maintained the appearance of being as strong by sacrificing the structure in the center, maintaining the outward appearance, but growing hollow, even rotten inside. And there was a part of him that he knew had to be separated, or else it would be tainted too. And that's the part that was put into you when you were chosen as cleric. And what you know instinctively now is the feeling that you had when you came back from the Shadowfell. The Rushama you left behind at the mountain is dead. Gone. Nothing. The Rushama that's with you now is all that's left. And more than that, the mountain itself has been claimed by a new entity that arrived only moments before you did. A monstrous, dark bird.
Well. And do I know anything about the people that were living there?
They are under the sway of this new spirit, not necessarily all voluntarily serving, but with no choice but to serve an incredibly powerful spirit that now dominates the entire landscape.
So I would like to relate some of that to my friends.
Yeah, the rest of you just saw her continuing to stroke the sand in this pattern and just kind of staring down into it.
So,
I'm all
I
that's
mean-
left. This is.
I mean, your people are. There's a giant evil bird spirit that is taking control of them. Is that right?
A very powerful spirit has taken control. And we have door number 3.
Well, I mean,
I'll add, in case it wasn't clear from my description, that dark spirit is absolutely familiar, and it arrived at the mountain only shortly before you returned to this plane.
Oh.
Yeah.
We need to find Alaric.
okay.
Do you have any way to like contact him?
Yeah, weren't we going to try casting sending to him or something?
Yeah, this was a bit more immediate.
Yes, no. I totally am with you there.
The spirit that's taken control of the mountain. I feel like... You guys remember when we were in the Shadowfell and that really dark, unsettling presence came to visit?
With all of the shadows that were trying to fight us?
Yeah. This mistress
Yes, the
of the darkness. Yeah. I think Alaric's friend, I think he wished it away, but it had to go somewhere.
He kept saying there was a price.
Yeah, that's a price I'm unwilling to pay.
Well, if we can find Alaric, can he wish it to go somewhere else again?
I don't know. First, we have to get him back. I don't know that we can fight something like that.
We need to get him back whether we need him to fight it or not, though. So how do we find him?
Well, I can send him a message. 25 words or less, guys.
Incidentally, are you still doing the ritual, or are you?
No, I'm still doing it. Like
Yeah.
I'm telling them all of this for information, so y'all can think about the message that you want to send Alaric.
As you're sort of still doing this as you've relayed some of this to them, and I think for the rest of you, she looks like she's speaking to you, but she doesn't look like she is there mentally with you, meaning she is seeing something else. She is talking to you sort of in a disconnected way. I think, Nira, you're experiencing a lot right now. You kind of feel like you're as aware of them as you would be just looking right at them and having a normal conversation. But for the rest of you, what you see is her staring intently, so almost 1,000-yard stare into this sand as she is doing this very repetitive motion. But what you see again, Nira, is you receive 2 additional visions. One is a tumbling rock in a void, and as you kind of come around closer, you see a little hidey hole and then Alaric's cloak. And then you also see, zooming out, the sand, but this is not the red dust of this flour that you had ground up, but this is regular sand like in a desert. And then, almost impossible to pick out at first, just a spot yellow robes, Melicanth, in the desert. And as you zoom out, you see her approaching from still a great distance away, an enormous mirage. And in it, you think you can almost see what looks like an enormous green tree.
All right. So,
Pikachu face.
Yeah.
so good news, guys. I think Alaric is still alive, still hanging in there. He is on a rock, which seems pretty Alaric-ish. But he's surrounded. He's like in this void. It's not a big rock. It's and he just tumbling through space. It's not necessarily dark. There's just nothing. Also, probably you're interested to know, Melicanth's still alive, and she's in a place that I think Ket and Cadence might recognize. And there is a what looks to be a large green tree in the midst of a city. But it seems like a mirage.
Yes.
So it's there, but it's not there?
Yes.
It is.
It is there. It looks like a mirage to the outside world, I believe.
Well, that's where she's headed.
Oh my goodness. This is good news and bad news, yes?
Yeah. Good news and bad news. It's kind of how we roll.
Well, I wrote down 15 words that we could send to Alaric so far.
Okay.
Let's spitball this for a moment because we still have 10 more words to work with. I have escaped Zorith, on material plane, Melicanth safe for now, where are you, the pig is gone.
I really need to, is that...
I don't think the pig is necessary. I know he would probably be very sad because he did not get to eat the pig, but I think there are more important things that we should say.
Okay, so no pig got it. So that's 11 words. So we still got, 14
How
words
about
to work with.
So
don't use the arm?
as you're finishing, as you're starting to have that conversation, Nira, you get a sense of culmination of this ritual. You can feel that the dust of this flower is kind of growing thin as you smooth it across this altar, and the last idea that you get is sort of the idea of a healed scar. And then with that, you're still in this temple, but you are back present in the room with everyone.
Oh, that was a thing that we did. Okay.
Oh no, that was the thing that you did.
Oh, that's weird. Oh. Okay. A healed scar. I don't know what to do with that yet. So, okay. Plan of attack. We are safe here from everything for the moment.
How long can we stay here for?
It will stay here for a day.
Okay.
Do we have a day though? I mean, everything always is so dire. I mean, we don't know.
It seems that way, but right now we're missing someone.
Yes.
Oh, okay. We don't know how to get where we need to go.
Is there? Well, no, I guess there's nobody here you can ask.
Okay. All right, guys.
I have a weird thought. You said before that when Melicanth was trapped, you weren't able to close the portals anymore.
It's true.
Do you think that maybe the thing that blocked Ket and me from going home might have changed also.
It's possible everything has changed.
Wait a minute. The ring that Archie has, or whatever it is that you people use to close portals, close the rifts.
It's a scar. I kind of pull back my robe and show him my shoulder, the scar. So
It's a scar,
also,
yeah.
I'll Amethyst. You also recall that when you were in the Beastlands, you closed several rifts.
Right. So I'm going to share that with them and have no reason to understand why. Have no idea why.
And you climbed the tree.
Yes.
That is...
Yeah, I was in the Beastlands and if I remember correctly, Christiana, it just had me appear in that place where they were already fighting. Or they were about to fight.
Right, yeah. So essentially, you found a grove that you wandered into it, and it was in the place where you thought something else was, and it sort of had this quality of being there and not there, but you felt drawn to it, and you climbed along it in the direction that felt instinctively right, and it led you to where your friends were.
Would I be able to use my my Horizon Walker stuff to locate a portal that might access the tree?
So I mean, you can look, but it doesn't necessarily mean that there are any near you.
Okay. I will do that once we leave here, like once we're not in the temple anymore. I will try to see if I can detect a portal within a mile of where we are.
Okay.
we also have the other option. We've consulted one Fey Queen, but there is still another, and I am sure that she has thoughts.
We can do that. Should we make sure that Alaric is even still alive?
Yeah, no, I think that's the more pressing need here.
Yeah.
Okay. Do we have any ideas of how we might retrieve him that do not involve this arm?
Literally, the only thing I can think of is to go back to where that portal is and go through it, but I don't have
We
any
can't.
desire to do that. That one was closed?
Yeah.
Closed it.
We closed the one in Gorne.
Yep.
But if we could find another one, maybe we could
Wait,
find.
yeah,
we could
I was
go
trying
through
to
it.
remember exactly how
wasn't
that worked. Did it close when I think?
Yeah, Archie closed the one that was in
Right.
Gorne.
Okay. Yeah.
There's still.
But the one that Alaric traveled through did not get closed. We
Right.
just have to get, if we wanted to get to that portal, which I think I climbed the phasing tree, and that's how I landed there, which is why I was trying to find out where the phasing tree is.
You emerged from the tree, but not from one of the purple fissures.
Right.
Amethyst.
Right.
The only other fissure that I know of
Zorak
that would
went
go
into.
to that castle is in Ushbithra.
If we go back there, then
It's kind of taking the long way around, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
I can't
There
think
there
of-
needs to be a more.
Yeah, because I don't even know how we would get out of there for sure. We could get in there to get him, but I don't even know how we
go
get
back
out.
to Shadowfell.
I don't want to go back to the Shadowfell. I don't know about y'all, but
I mean, it would probably be the last place Zorath would look for us.
First.
He's looking for Melicant right now.
Well, one of the things that I'm going to mention is a brief metagamey thing is that there will be something shortly that will change this discussion. But I will come back to that in a moment.
gonna
First-
open the door and there's Zorith.
First, let's cut back to Alaric, who has now completed his own long rest there on the rock. I would imagine you are hungry and thirsty.
One question.
Mhm.
Does my level of exhaustion go away?
Yes.
Okay. But yes, I am hungry and thirsty.
Yeah, and you completed a long rest as normal. Archie was the only one with that particular curse.
Okay. Yeah, I gotta find some food.
Yeah, there's not a lot to be found unless you want to try eating rocks. You've heard of dwarves doing that, but it's usually
Didn't somebody accuse me of eating rocks before?
it's kind of like sailors telling stories about people lost at sea and drinking salt water. That's kind of how those stories go. But I think as you are, coming out of your little hidey hole and looking around, you're doing kind of your spot check to see if that one's, that chunk of rock with the fissure in it is still there. It is, but what is also near it is, at first your brain almost wants to think of it as some sort of like an insect. But what you realize is that it looks a bit more like a sailing vessel, but with enormous long trailing sails, almost like a fish with long sort of flowy fins. And it is hovering near that rock. So it is, perhaps, maybe 500 feet away, but certainly close enough that you can see the presence of this vessel. That the main body of it is maybe perhaps 80 feet long or so, but these long flowy sails, which you can see sort of moving in various breezes, changing position to hold the rest of it stationary. Those are like several 100 feet long each.
I turn to my hand. You don't know anything about that, do you?
You get
I
a
didn't think so. Hands shouldn't shrug. This is weird.
I'm like imagining like the little, it's like.
But no sign. Well, I couldn't see Zorath and Jinx.
No, I mean you can basically you can still see that little glint of purple light from that rock is there, but it's been far enough away that you weren't really able to see like anything the size of a person on it.
Well, the only way up is up. That really didn't come out as good in my head as it did. Anyway, are you feeling rested? Do you think that you can make me fly today? Because that's a long walk, and I don't walk through air yet.
You feel a little bit of a tingle, like over your body. Your slippers are still holding you to the surface for now, but you.
If I hop, well, here goes nothing. To hell with it. I run off the edge.
All right.
It's now or nothing.
I think at first there's a bit where you try to run and you just kind of run around the circle again. You're like, oh wait, no, jump, and you launch yourself off into the air again, and you definitely feel this, these breezes take you and start to just direct your movement. But you realize
this was a bad idea.
You can will yourself to go in the direction you want, and you are fighting against the wind here and there, and it's difficult, but you are able to direct your progress to some extent. You feel like if you were trying to use the wind currents, it would be a lot easier. As it is, it's if you want to go more like direct line of, straight line, it's much more effort and you move slower. But
no one was ever meant to move like this. What I want to do then is I'm going to approach the portal, but I want to do so trying to stealth behind different bits of rock as I go.
Okay.
And try to get a better view.
All right. There's not a lot of rocks big enough to do that in between yours and this other one. So I don't really think there's anywhere to hide unless you were going way out of your way.
I'm going to be pretty wide angled at that crazy.
Well, I just
floating
mean it like,
thing.
if you imagine these are islands in an ocean, right? Like there's the one you're on, and there's that one over there, and then there's the next one of any size is way over there.
Gotcha.
So you would be out of cover for quite a while before you could even get to the other one, and then you would still be very far away from the place you were trying to go.
I guess there was a rock right by the portal, wasn't there?
Well, yeah, and in fact, the one you've been looking at, you see this glimmer of purple seems to stay with it.
All right. I will just try to keep that sort of between me and whatever the other thing is.
Okay. So
As
you're
best as
trying
I
to
can.
come around on sort of the blind side, so to speak.
Yeah.
Although that chunk of rock it's big enough that you can kind of block the main like sort of body of the ship, but these long flowing sail-like fins definitely emerge on the outside of that. So as you start getting closer, make a fly casual check.
What is fly casual?
Stealth, I guess.
Stealth?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's not so bad. That is a.
I'm going to say at disadvantage because you're trying to direct a specific path instead of just following the currents.
Okay, that's only 17 then.
Okay. It's still not too bad. You don't sense any activity or anything that would suggest any awareness of your presence?
If I can get close enough to land on that rock and sort of peer around it rather than trying to fly around.
I think you realize as you start getting closer that you're able to sort of approach in the blind spot, but that you think that by the time you touch down on it, it would be hard to be completely hidden from this vessel. As you're getting closer, you're definitely not, you can't really see anything on the vessel because you're keeping the rock in between, but you don't see any people on the on the rock on this side, but it's also it's the opposite side from where the fissure is.
Right. The fissures aren't three-dimensional, right? If you look on the wrong side of the fissure,
they're in
you
a
don't see them.
three-dimensional space, but it looks like a tear, like almost like a line, but you can sort of direct yourself into it.
All right.
It defies perspective a little bit when you pass through one, but from a distance, it looks sort of like a line that curves in a sort of three-dimensional way.
Wow. Fortune favors the bold, I suppose. I'm going to keep going forward.
All right.
Trying to sneak towards the portal.
Okay. You are creeping alongside this boulder, going to the other side, and as you make your way and sort of crest the ridge, so to speak, you're trying to be stealthy, I guess?
Yeah.
All right,
yeah.
so go ahead and make a stealth roll.
Disadvantage again, or am I on?
Now that you're sort of on solid ground, so to speak, you get a normal roll.
So 15 again.
15, okay.
Or I guess I got more last time.
I think as you creep over, you're trying to be very quiet, but what you see is around this glowing fissure. You don't see Zorith or Jinxie, but what you see is 3 bird people. These are Aarakocra for people who know that race, but they're humanoid, but bird-like features and wings, and they are dressed in like pirate clothes. So they have arms and legs and wings. Their arms are not wings, but they're dressed in sort of loose, flowy, light clothes. A couple of them have weapons around like a sash around their waist. One of them is wearing an eye patch, and there's 3 of them sort of standing around looking at the fissure. But as you sort of creep up to look and see this, you find yourself like making eye contact with one who's wearing a fancy hat sort of across the other side of the fissure from you. But it definitely sees you.
I'm going to stand up straight out of the stealth and dust myself off. Do you understand common?
Make a dexterity saving throw.
That may be a yes. Well, at least it wasn't a 1. That's an 11.
You find that one of the others surprisingly quickly has activated some sort of a spring-loaded device that has thrown a net at you, and it wraps around and it briefly ensnares you, and you feel like you might be able to struggle out of it, but not before these things, kind of fly and gently sort of land over to go to you. And the one with the fancy hat kind of leans down and does that sort of bird side-eye, cocking head look and just saying, "Of course we do. What do you think, we're idiots?"
No, but I don't know what the hell you are, and I don't know where the hell I am, so I didn't want to presume. Get this stupid thing off of me.
And they kind of say, well, let's get you aboard here first. We can talk about that. And
but I just
cut
need
away.
to go over there. Damn it.
Nope, they're dragging you away in the net. So in the meantime, for everybody else, you're kind of having these discussions, and you're safe there in the temple. And as you're resting there, you're just feeling like, even though you just had a long rest, there was still a little bit of anxiety because you were sleeping kind of just out in the open. But there's just very much a sense of protection and energy and power here. And in this lingering glow of the magic from the temple, you find that all of you, Alaric included, are leveling up. And
Woohoo!
Yay!
Yeah.
and so the reason I kind of cut you off before is just you have more options now. So so you're all going to be at level 13, but I think we will leave it there for tonight.
Yay!
Does that mean we get our spell slots back?
Yes. Well, you all had the long rest,
We did,
so
yeah, long
So, but
rest,
what I'm
yeah.
saying is, consider yourselves now leveled up full. Well, okay. Yeah, sure. You spell slots back, that's fine.
That actually gonna fly. Okay.
I didn't think that was going to happen. Yeah.
This was a special story circumstance with so I think it's a trade. How about this? You get your spell slots back, but Rushama's dead, so that's the trade-off.
Wow.
Yeah.
No, he lives in me.
Well, yeah. Little piece.
Oh, that is like the saddest thing too. But like,
Sure he does, Nirkina. Just keep saying that.
I'm just glad I was muted because I was like, no,
Oh, God.
Robert and Rushama in the same episode. Rough night.
I cast a revivify on the mountain.
Yeah. It's been more than a minute.
Resurrection, let him come back as reincarnation, let it come back as a dwarf.
Yeah.
Looks like you don't really get too much until 16.
What you get is level 7 spells.
One of them, yes.
Sweet.
I get level 4s.
Level 7.
Yeah, so
I'm super close. There's a really good one in.
Amethyst, Nira, and Ket all get level 7 spells, and there's some doozies in there. So,
Nice.
in the meantime, you can take times to figure that out. But what I'll say is, next week, no episode because I'll be in Colorado. The week after that, is the week before my Extra Life game, but I think we can still do an episode if you guys are up for it.
Cool.
All right.
Yeah.
So that will be so no episode on the 5th, but I think we will have one on December 12th. Aha! Mother Dragon says, so Nira is Rushama Horcrux?
Well, that would be the scar that was healed, right?
All right, so
Yeah.
that'll do it for this time, everybody. Thank you, everyone. Thank you guys for playing, and those of you for watching and participating in the chat. And it's always a great time, and I love doing this. I love playing with you guys.
Yay! So excited.
Does everyone
Thank you.
like the D&D Beyond thing? Is that cool? Those of you in the
Yes.
chat, you like that? Or anyone?
I've been digging it, yeah.
All right.
I was real happy to see those bars go green.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yep. It's very cool.
I was joking before we started the stream that until when I was testing it last night and pulled it up there for the first time, I was like, oh, geez, I didn't realize it was actually all that bad.
Yeah, it was pretty shy. I think the only reason that I was, because I'd used that massive heal spell during the fight with the baddies, and then I ran and hid for the last battle.
Yeah.
That was brilliant, actually.
Well, no, I mean that was like critical. Like
Yeah.
wanting to play Zoreth smart, he had all sorts of plans for things that he might try to do to counter whatever you're doing, but the combination of stuff you guys did really made it difficult for him to do what he was trying to do. And you successfully kept Melicanth out of his clutches for now, at the cost of stranding her somewhere.
That should be fine.
Yeah.
Can't get rid of her, so you know.
So the Mother Dragon says the D&D Beyond thing doesn't show up on Chromecast. I mean, I think it should show up. I think it should show up in the. I wonder if it will actually on the video. I don't know. It might only be when you're watching live on Twitch. I don't know. But in any event, I also figured out that the issue with it all being in one row or having to click arrows back and forth is just whether you have, how big you have the window is all. Yeah, but in the meantime, that's it was a lot of fun, and so thank you everybody, and we'll be good night. We'll see you in 2 weeks on so many levels.
So many
levels.
Yay.